What's up, fight fans? Back at it with another one. And here at Round One Sports Talk, I want to talk about some of the hottest and trending topics that are going around in boxing today. Plus, I got a little segment that I put together for you. So please watch the whole video. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right. Well, Javante Tank Davis was just recently arrested and charged with domestic violence. He is currently out on bail on a separate case, and he has a fight scheduled with Hector. I've been looking online to see if the fight got canceled. As of right now, I haven't heard anything. Will this affect Javante Davis's mindset going into the fight? Will it affect him in his fight camp? Because he was technically arrested while in preparation for Hector. So that's pretty bad. In other news, we have Shakur Stevenson, another highly decorated champion, moving up in weight to the 135 weight division. He was currently in and around the fatal shooting of superstar rapper Takeoff, which was a member of the Amigos. Shakur Stevenson was at the event that was held in Texas. It was a pool hall, and he arrived there with some gentleman. I'm not sure if it was his bodyguard, his friend, or whatever. I do not know. But the gentleman that he arrived at the event with is the man that they're charging in connection with the shooting death of Takeoff. Okay? Then he leaves the event and they have him on surveillance camera leaving the event with the same man that just shot Takeoff. And they left in the same car they came there with. So it seems like Texas has a lot of questions for Shakur Stevenson. That's pretty bad. In a murder, that's pretty bad. So I talked about this in other videos about, how sad it is to watch talent, and watch these men and women throw away their talent, and it's sad to watch. And are we watching that now with these two young men? Is that what we're watching right now? The rise and fall of these young men. It's ironic that I saw in an interview that Tank Davis was talking, I believe it was with Mike Tyson, in Mike Tyson's podcast. And Mike Tyson asked him, Javante Davis, who's going to beat Javante Davis? And Javante Davis replied to him, the only person that's going to beat Javante Davis is Javante Davis. He's doing a pretty good job right now, unfortunately. I'll report back more on both of these stories when I get more on them. Until that time, I hope that both of them turn it around. Whatever way, however they need to do it, I just hope that they get it together and they turn it around. That's all I got to say about that. I have a segment that I put together right now, and I want to bring up the monster, Naoya. I made a few videos about him, and of course, man, I could be a psychic, bro. I swear I should have played the lottery on that day I made that video, because I called it. I called it. I told you they were going to do this. They were going to talk about Inoue, and they were going to say some good things about him. And they were going to even talk like they liked him, right? And then they were going to quickly write him off. And they were going to shit all over everything he's done. Like he just didn't do any of this stuff. Or the division that he did it, they're saying oh, that's little guys. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, okay? that if I'm not mistaken, I don't know. Let me know your comment on this one, what I'm about to say. But from the 108 to the 130 is the most skilled division in all of boxing. All those divisions right down the line, that's where the most skilled fighters are. There's no heavyweights that are moving like these guys. Now the glamour divisions, the 135, the middleweight champion of the world, the welterweight champion of the world, and the heavyweight champion of the world are the glamour divisions. For some reason, those are the divisions that get the most attention, but they've also had some of the best champions for that reason. Okay? So, but I really believe that the most skilled guys are these little guys. They're the best. When I watch those guys fight, it's like watching a chess match, you know? And you're like watching it and you're like, man, these guys are fast, right? But they don't have a lot of knockouts, right? Until Naoya started hopping on the scene, okay? Now Naoya brought knockout power to the division, okay? The only thing he didn't have in the division was a proper dance partner, okay? But I want to point out, and I want to compare, and I know when I say his name, don't even think I'm going down this road, okay? Floyd Money Mayweather and the Monster Naoya. I would never compare Floyd Mayweather to the Monster Naoya, as in fighting styles, or who would win against who. That's not a conversation that Naoya should be in, okay? Floyd Mayweather's here because he's in the kind of conversation where he's arguably talked about as the best to ever laced him up. Okay, he's in that kind of discussion. Naoya is right here. He's building on his legacy and making it. As far as them as fighters, I ain't comparing them. They're two of my top best fighters that I love. And I'm not going down that road, Fantasy Island. I'm not going down that road, okay? So, what I do want to do is I want to shed light to how hard it is to do what Naoya is doing, okay? Few fighters have ever won all 4 belts in their division. And now 4-belt era. When Mike Tyson was the heavyweight champion of the world, he only had 3 belts. Because the WBO title was not a world title at the time. It was not considered a world title. All Mike Tyson had was the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF. And he was considered the undisputed, unified world champion. Okay? Now, case in point. Okay? Wait a minute. Let me, before I go there, in my head, I'm thinking fast. Josh Taylor, Terrence Crawford, Charlo twins, Canelo Alvarez, and of course, the Godfather himself, Bernal Hopkins. These are men that were able to unify and successfully enable all the belts in their division in their time frame. Pernell Sweepy Whitaker did it, but he didn't need the WBO title at the time. You know what I'm saying? So, what happens is this, is that okay, case in point, Teofimo Lopez fought Lomachenko, right? And on the night they fought, after the fight that Lopez was successful, I dare you to go back and look at the post-fight interview with Lopez. He's standing on the podium. Remember, we were going through the coronavirus thing. So they had him like talking by himself. He was standing there with all the belts on, right? And in this hand over here, I couldn't help but notice there were not just 1, but 2 WBC world title. Those are the green ones. In his hand. Did you know that the WBC world titles weren't even on the line that night? The WBC title at that time was held by the one and only Devin Haney. Devin Haney had the WBC title. The WBC title wasn't on the line. The only ones that was there, the WBO, the WBA, and the IBF, and the Ringside Magazine, for whatever that's worth anymore. Right? So, how the hell did he get 2 WBC titles in his hand? Look at the belt closely. Look at the round belt. I bet you those belts say WBC Silver or Intercontinental or fucking Lake Utah, some shit. Lake Erie. It's WBC title of Lake Erie. Because those belts was fake as fuck. Those ain't titles, man. Lomachenko wanted to fight to unify all the belts. But he never got that opportunity because he lost to Lopez. Lopez then loses to Cambozas. And they try to promote Camboza as a unified, undisputed world champion. But because the word unified is loosely thrown around in the sport of boxing. Okay? The word unify means in order to be a unified champion, all you have to have is 2 belts. That's it. And you are a unified world champion. Because you unified the WBC, let's take that, and the WBA. You 2 fight, now you got both belts, you are considered a unified world champion. That's all you need to be considered unified. Did you know that? So when they were saying George Camboza was the unified world champion, yeah, he was a unified world champion. Yes, he was. He wasn't undisputed. He wasn't the undisputed world champion. That's a different title entirely. That means you have to have all 4 major sanctioning bodies in your weight division. Okay? Floyd Mayweather is a highly decorated champion. 5 weight divisions. Okay? He 130 pounds, 135 pounds, 140 pounds, 147 pounds, and 154 pounds. Weight divisions. Those are all 5 weight divisions that Mayweather won belts in. Okay? And out of his entire prestigious career, okay, Floyd Mayweather has never, ever been unified, undisputed world champion in any of those weight categories. No fault to his own. Because if it was up to Mayweather, he probably would have been unified, undisputed in every fucking weight division. He would have beat everybody. But how hard it is to do it with all the politics involved and try to get both champions to agree to fight one another. Okay? You know, when Floyd Mayweather was going after these champions, he always talked about how he wanted to unify the titles. How he wanted to move up and challenge these champions. But the champions, we have actual footage of Floyd Mayweather trying to challenge one of the champions. Roll the clip. This is Floyd Mayweather knocking on their door. Hey, you in? Other champion. Who's that? Is that Mayweather? Tell him I'm not here. Tell him I got another fight scheduled. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about vacating the belt and moving up in weight. You know what I'm saying? He left? Did Mayweather leave? Man, fuck that. He's coming back. Oh, shit. Oh. Is he gone now? Okay, because now I can talk shit when he's gone. You know what I'm saying? Those are the other champions. They didn't want to fight that man, bro. Man, look. Whether you loved or hate him, pay to watch to see him lose or win, you could not help but notice that Floyd Mayweather was the best at doing what he did. Okay? And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the whole concept behind boxing is the ability to be hit without being hit. I think that's what it boils down to. We all love these fights where you stand up there and you see these fights and they're both cut eyes and they're bleeding. One guy goes down, he gets back up and he's like, "Come on!" And the other guy's like, "Let's go!" And the crowd is I love those fights. I love those kind of fights. Okay, where the two guys are evenly matched. I love those kind of fights. But when I would watch Floyd Mayweather box, it was like watching a highly skilled chess match. And he learned and knew later in his career how to not use a lot of wasted energy. He didn't waste a lot of punches, and he was real elusive. And he knew in his career when he retired, he was going to look as fresh as when he walked into that ring. And if anybody did it, to do that, he did it the best. Okay, so whether you like him, hate him, you do realize that what he was doing was a facade. It was all an act. Floyd Mayweather was one of the most dedicated champions I've ever known. Okay, and one of the hardest worker, not one, the hardest worker I have ever looked up. I remember there was an interview with Zab Judah, and they asked him. Mayweather had already beat Zab by this time. He was preparing for another fight, and they interviewed Zab Judah, and they asked him, "How does Mayweather train?" He said, "Mayweather trains, and mind you, he was already a multi-world champion. He was a multi-millionaire, okay, by this time already. And his description of Mayweather was he trains like he doesn't have a penny in the bank. Like if he was going to go back to poverty tomorrow if he lost this fight." That was his mindset. That was what Zab Judah took away from Floyd Mayweather. He goes, it's incredible how he's, no wonder he beat me, he said. This man is dedicated. He's not dedicated. He's obsessed. And he wanted you to think that all that jewelry and that facade and throwing the money is what he was about, because his opponent thought that he was drinking, smoking, and doing all this crazy stuff. And meanwhile, he would show up in front of the club. They would take pictures of him. He'd walk right out the back door, jogging right down the street. Mayweather understood that boxing, one part of it was entertainment. And the entertainment factor, he threw it onto you. And he made you almost like despise or envy him for his character. But you paid to see him want to get his ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? But the one thing he wasn't going to let you do was beat him. Okay? And he was a really, really, if not the best champion I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? So what Naoya is doing, these guys, they could write him off. They could say what they want about him. But I know, and you know, that the monster Naoya and what he just did is not easy. And I don't care if there wasn't no superstars there. Those guys that he beat one by one, every champion, he didn't do it the way Taylor did against Bernal Hopkins, where he just beat one guy and won all 4 belts. No. He went and got them individually. And in the champion's eyes, that's the most prestigious way to get all 4 belts. You can't take that away from the guy if you beat the guy that have all 4 belts and then you inherit all 4 belts. Hey, I got in position to do so, but it's more prestigious to get them one at a time, so, and plus defending them, once you start defending them, all 4 of them, ooh, now we talking, so Naoya has done some pretty remarkable things, but he's not done yet. He's not done yet. The only thing is that when we look back at his career, are you going to be that type of person that's going to go back and look at his highlights or watch his fights then, or pay attention to him now. Because for me, everything in a fight is the build up and the weight of the fight, and me being nervous watching my fighter walk to the ring and not knowing what's going to happen. When you watch a rerun, you watch Inouye's reruns, in the back of your mind, you're like, he's undefeated. I know how this is going to end. That would be the equivalent of going to a movie theater and you telling me the ending of the movie. I'm not really going to enjoy this movie all that much. I know how it's going to end. Yes, I'm going to get some pleasure out of the fact of finally seeing how the movie unfold and how Inoue did his work. But you don't have no butterflies in your stomach for your fighter because you already know the outcome. See? And when I hear some of these guys talk about the Monster Inoue, I quickly know they haven't watched his fights. All they did was watch highlights and said a couple things about his highlights, and then they quickly write, because if they were actually watching this man fight, bro, how would you come around and say what's coming out of your mouth? You don't even have enough to talk about him because you're just like, oh yeah, what you see in highlights. Oh, he looked good. He knocked the guy out. He looked fast. But Fulton's going to beat him. What? You're just watching highlights, bro. Look, don't be that guy that on the end of when Inouye's is all said and done, you're going to be like, man, I wish I watched some of his fights. Excuse me. And I just believe that he's one of the best fighters right now coming up. And I can't wait to see his next fight. And I hope that Javante and Shakur Stevens, work their little situations out. Not little, but their situations. We'll just leave it like that, So, please like and subscribe to the videos. And if you have any fighters or any boxers you want me to look up or do a story on, and my next video, I want to give shout out to all my subscribers. I'm going to read your names off, and I'm going to read out some of your messages and stuff. So get ready on the lookout for that video, because if you're subscribed to my channel, I'm definitely going to send you a shout out. Okay, so thank you for watching the video, and on to the next one. Peace.